In 1835, an ancient wall was broken in the castle of Lahneck. Behind it was a room with no entrance, no windows, and in the middle of the room stood a suit of iron armor, inside which was a complete human skeleton. No one knew how long the man had been buried alive. Along the Rhine River, autumn afternoons seemed to hold their breath. Ominous winds swept through ancient castles, standing tall amidst clouds and time itself. On a jagged mountainside, Lahneck Castle loomed in silence, gazing solemnly down at the murky waters below. No one knew that beneath those weathered layers of medieval stone lay a secret, buried for centuries. In the year 1835, a group of laborers was hired to reinforce the interior structure of the castle, long neglected and crumbling from years of abandonment. While dismantling a northern wall on the second floor, they heard a hollow sound behind the bricks, a muffled emptiness, as if something had been sealed away. They froze. One of the workers tapped gently with his hammer, and suddenly the wall gave way, crumbling open to reveal a dark recess, never documented in any architectural plan. Before their stunned eyes, a small room appeared. No windows, no doors. Just 4 solid stone walls. And in the center, something that made their blood run cold. An ancient suit of iron armor. Standing upright, motionless in the middle of the room, cloaked in dust and corroded by time. The room beyond the sealed wall was no bigger than a small cell. The workers' torches flickered on the cold, moldy stone walls. There were no doors, no windows, no signs that anyone had ever entered or left the room, and in the middle of the room, the armor stood like a petrified ghost from the previous century, not fallen, not tilted. It seemed to be standing guard, or being forced to stand there. One of the workers, Hans, the youngest of the group, approached, holding a lantern. The light shone directly into the small opening at the neck of the armor, revealing something pale inside. Hans stepped back. His heart was pounding. Another leaned closer and cursed in old German, "Mein Gott, our human bones!" Yes, inside the tightly sealed armor was a complete human skeleton. The joints were not loose, but remained in the same position as if the person was dead, locked in the armor that could not be removed. What was more terrifying was that the armor had no mechanism to open from the inside. All the rivets and locks were on the outside, as if someone had locked a living person inside and sealed the room forever. No one in the group dared to enter the room. One whispered, "We shouldn't open it." After reporting to the local authorities, the room was temporarily sealed off. An archaeological team from Koblenz was sent to examine the scene. They brought equipment, notebooks, and suspicion. Dr. Karl Adler, a German historian, was the first to touch the armor. He used a specialized tool to separate each part, each rusty pin. When the breastplate was opened, a horrifying sight appeared before their eyes. The human skeleton inside was still intact. There were no signs of decomposition by animals or displacement after death. The victim's hands were clenched in front of his chest, as if trying to push the armor off his body. The scary thing was, there were no wounds on the bones, no knife, no name, no blood. This person was locked alive in the iron armor until death.
Next to the armor, people found a small piece of parchment with faded letters, as if soaked in water for a long time. When restored, only one line remained legible: Vergeben, nie vergessen. Forgive, never forget. Whose words were those? The prisoner or the one who imprisoned? Was it a deep-seated resentment or a curse passed down through the generations? Dr. Carl then examined the historical records of Lahneck Castle from the 13th to 14th centuries. Strangely enough, there was no record of a knight disappearing, being punished, or executed there. But in an ancient unofficial record in the Mainz Monastery Library, there was a mention of a betrayal within the knights guarding Lahneck Castle. One of them betrayed God and suffered eternal punishment. No name, no details, just a closing sentence: iron will hold his soul until the day evil is banished from the world.
The biggest question still hangs in the musty air of that stone room. Who was the man in the armor? Who locked him in there? And why? That question has never been answered in nearly 2 centuries. But many strange theories have been put forward, each one adding to the horror and gloom. Theory 1. The traitor in the Knights Guild. Lahneck Castle was once the headquarters of the Teutonic Knights, a medieval military church order. According to an anonymous file found in the Eberbach Monastery, a knight named Erhard von Stein was convicted of treason for leaking military secrets to the French during the war. But instead of being publicly executed, he was tried privately to protect the honor of the order. It is believed that his comrades, who had sworn to live and die together, locked him in a suit of armor, sealed the room, and left him to die slowly in the dark. Anonymous, without a grave. A brutal death, but a terrifyingly quiet one. Theory 2. The Alchemist. Another theory is that the Iron Man was not a knight, but a victim of medieval alchemical experimentation. Some 14th century documents mention the living iron experiment, where living people were placed in sealed armor to test whether their souls could escape if their bodies were trapped in the metal. These documents were banned by the Church, but if true, this was not murder, but a brutal metaphysical experiment. Could the man's soul still be trapped in that rusty iron? Theory 3. The Secret Keeper. A more mysterious theory comes from those who believe in German mysticism. The Iron Man is not a victim, but a protector. Some local legends say that beneath Lahneck Castle there is a secret chamber containing a forbidden object, something that once caused the downfall of an entire dynasty. And only one man, a man of absolute loyalty, has volunteered to be locked alive in armor to guard it. The chamber has no door because it was never opened. But now it has been broken into. Some say that since the day the armor was discovered, people have often heard the clanking of metal in the castle at night, even when no one is there. None of these theories have been confirmed, and perhaps the most chilling thing is, they could all be true. After weeks of investigation, the archaeological team concluded that the Iron Man's identity could not be determined. No records, no signs, no DNA to compare, and even more so, why a person was imprisoned in a room with no entrance. The newspapers at that time carried a creepy headline: "The man buried alive in iron. Ancient ghosts rise from the stone wall." The local authorities, fearing excessive public opinion, ordered the room to be sealed again. The armor was put back in its original position, not removed. The entrance was sealed again as if nothing had ever happened. But it is said that since then every year on June 17, the day the armor was discovered, a cold metallic sound rang out from the second floor of Lahneck Castle. No one was there, no bells, no animals, just a faint creak, like the sound of old rusty hinges moving in the dark. A castle guide, a former soldier, once recounted in horror, "I swear that night I heard footsteps, like someone walking, slow steps, metal dragging on stone. When I turned on the flashlight, nothing. But the wet tile floor had the marks of iron shoes." Today, tourists to Lahneck are still told the story as a chilling anecdote. But the room where the Iron Man was found is no longer indicated on the castle's plans. No one knows exactly where it is. It could be on the second floor, it could be on another floor, or maybe it's right behind you and you don't know it. And the biggest question remains: who put the suit of armor in the sealed room? And why build a wall to bury a man alive? Perhaps only the Iron Man knows, but he has never spoken.